to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio, man. We are here once again, and today, man, we have a true honor talking to our special guest this morning, Will McFadden. Man, he's the host of this awesome podcast powered by iHeartRadio, #Storytime with the one and only Will McFadden. He covers amazing guests, and he got some superstars. So, man, first and foremost, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I mean, I'm doing as good as you can do on tax day. So thanks for having me.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, just a little reminder out there for anybody. It's tax day.
So, man, tell us about this awesome podcast that you host and what inspired you to do it, man.
Yeah, so the podcast is called #Storytime, and it's we like to say it's everyday stories from everyday people. We have some great guests on, people, everyone from Ryder Strong, who was a child heartthrob, to Adam Pally, he's a great actor comedian from the Mindy Project or Happy Endings. To we work with a lot of young digital creators who are big on TikTok and YouTube, people like Savannah Moss or Adam Ray OK. And I just think everyone has a great story to tell. I love the vibes of it are kind of like sitting around at happy hour with some friends and where everybody just starts telling stories, their best stories. Oh, that reminds me of this time that this happened when I went to that concert and this thing happened. So that's kind of the feeling of it, is just these small stories from our life that are super relatable. So yeah, that was kind of the whole impetus for it.
And you have a ton of episodes that people can kind of binge listen to, almost like Netflix style. When you kind of look back all the different guests you had, who's the most interesting one you had so far?
That's tough. I'd say of recent episodes, one of my favorite ones was Lucky Yates, and Lucky's he's a big actor, voiceover actor. He was on a show called Archer, animated show, and he told a story about when he was hosting a award show. He was hosting it as a puppet, as a monkey puppet, and he at some point Burt Reynolds came up on stage, and he said something that really upset Burt Reynolds, and Burt Reynolds attacked him and tried to rip the puppet off his hand and break his arm. So he's got a great story about being attacked by Burt Reynolds, which was a great one.
And for those who listen to your podcast, I mean, people who aspire to be storytellers, I mean, spill the secret sauce, man. You're an expert in this, man. What makes a great story and what helps them kind of brand themselves online?
I think really fertile storytelling ground. First of all, a lot of people are like, I don't have any good stories. Or also some people are like, I've got way too many good stories. But if you're trying to find, material for a great story from your life, I love to look at firsts, lasts, bests, and worsts. So if you think about your jobs, your first job, your last job, your best job, your worst job, there's got to be a great story in there. Like your first job, my first job, I worked at a ice cream store in the Pacific Palisades, and I was single-handedly responsible for getting us a B health rating because the health inspector walked in while I was eating ice cream out of a tub. We should have gotten an F, but my manager talked him down to a B or up to a B. But so find stories in your own life, looking at those first, last, best, and worst. Jobs, kiss, love, breakups, concerts. There's so many, different categories that you can scroll through to help kind of zoom into your life and find great stories in there. And then, in terms of telling a great story, I like to think of moments in your life where you're fundamentally changed. And even if it's just a 10-second span of your life where something happens and you are now different than you were before that moment, those are always great stories because, there's an evolution there that you've changed. So those are, and then just make sure you have a beginning, middle, and end, know when to wrap it up.
And you also are Chief Creative Officer at Collab and company member at the Actors Gang. Can you kind of touch on that with the audience? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so Collab is a digital creator studio and tech company that I founded with my two older brothers in 2012. So we've been in operation now for over 10 years, which in internet time is a lifetime. And we were content creators ourselves. We were started making short form comedy videos back in 2006, so before YouTube even came out in the MySpace days. And we were making animated, digital shorts. We had a really popular YouTube animated show called Eli the Accountant's Dirty Jokes. And it was our actual, speaking of tax day, it was our actual accountant who used to tell jokes and we would animate them. But yeah, so we've worked with creators for over 10 years now, people who are popular on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. And one of the things that we noticed was that they love to do storytime content. They sit down and they share a story from their day or from their life. And so that was kind of one of the reasons why we started the podcast. Was we already had connections with a lot of creators who were doing this kind of content. And then, yeah, the Actors Gang was a company that it's a theater company in Los Angeles where Tim Robbins is the artistic director. I was a company member there for 10 years. I've moved on and I'm a free agent now looking for a new theatrical home. But yeah, I mean, it was a place where I cut my teeth and I got to go on stage and travel the world and do some really great stuff and meet some awesome people.
Once again, we're talking to our guest today, Will McFadden, the host of #Storytime with Will McFadden, powered by iHeartRadio. One thing, too, is how do you choose your guests on your show? I mean, what is your process?
I will have anyone. Whoever makes the time and is kind enough to be like, yeah, I'll come on your podcast. I'm like, great, you're in. But we also we love hearing stories from our fans, or our Fable babies, as we call them. So we do have a hotline where you can call in and you can tell us a story. Hotline's 323-741-1873. And if you want your story to be on the podcast, we have Listener Tales episodes where we listen to stories from our fans out there. So if you have, a bad breakup or an embarrassing moment or the worst concert you've ever been to, the story that you want to share, give us a call. We'd love to hear it. But in terms of guests, we love hearing from other podcasters just because they understand the medium. They know how to. They generally have silky smooth voices too, which doesn't hurt. We love hearing from young digital creators, or TikTokers or on YouTube, and then also actors and comedians are also just great at storytelling. So that's usually the type of people we have on.
Last question for you. Based on your guests and how they interpret using their social media and handling their personal branding, what's a good tip that you can give for those who are aspiring to kind of go to that next level with their brand?
Oh, yeah. I think in terms of kind of building an audience on any social media platform, consistency is key. That's always the thing that I try and hammer home. I've seen so many creators over the years who have risen to just astronomical success, and it's not because they were particularly talented, they were particularly funny, that they were particularly skilled at any one thing. I've seen a lot of people build a huge following and a huge audience because they're consistent and they stuck at it longer than everyone else. They didn't quit. They didn't give up, that they kept making content and consistently sharing it with an audience until they found their audience. So that's the thing, is consistency is key.
Once again, we've been talking to Will McFadden, the chief and creative officer at Collab and company member at the Actors Gang. He's also the host of #Storytime with Will McFadden, powered by iHeartRadio. Man, I know you're busy. I want to say thanks again for your time today.
Yeah, I got to go do my taxes, but thanks for having me.